I'm Dr. Whitney Appleby. I'm a licensed psychologist at Cook Children's up in the Denton location. So we have an outpatient clinic. We see kiddos anywhere from the age of 2 to sometimes up to 21, 22. I specialize in psychological assessment as well as counseling and psychotherapy. Parents can set their kiddos up for success at school by establishing healthy routines, both before school and after school. So when kids know what to expect, they tend to thrive. And so early in the morning, that might look like ensuring that kids maybe their lunches are already prepped and packed and ready to go. Maybe clothes are already set out. Things that just help them feel more comfortable and able to also independently take care of themselves in the morning. When they know what to expect, they also can take that initiative on their own and then automatically feel more comfortable before the day starts. And then at the end of the day, having a healthy routine with sleep and eating habits, as well as time management, it sets them up for the next day at school. And a lot of the times they don't necessarily know on their own how to prioritize those things. So it can be really helpful to sit down with your child and kind of go through what they may need for the day coming up, whether that's prepping for the morning or finishing up schoolwork and some of the needs that they may have to kind of wrap up their day. But I think those healthy routines are pretty critical. I think parents can help their kids manage their time effectively, first of all, by having a good understanding of what is important to that child. So, if they're in school and baseball and, maybe they have, church one night a week, making sure that they are identifying kind of what may need to come first in that kid's life. They may need more time for homework because perhaps their learning style takes a little bit more time. And so maybe it means that, a work first, then play mentality would actually be more helpful for that kiddo. For some, they may need actually a physical outlet when they get home from school. And so maybe for those kids, it's actually identifying that they need physical outlet and movement and social connection before they sit down and start, homework at the end of the day. And so I think a lot of that just comes from healthy conversation, with the child, or, if they're not old enough, kind of picking up on their routines and how they tend to function best, and then helping them structure their time accordingly. And sometimes it means that kids have too much on their plate. And so when you notice that your kid may be overwhelmed or seem a little bit more stressed, identifying what things may need to go, right? Sometimes time management is managing all the things that you have to do, but sometimes it can also just be taking away things that are unnecessary and that aren't particularly helpful to that kiddo. There are a couple of signs of school-related anxiety. Some obvious ones are going to be anytime that your child is straight up telling you, like, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to school. But sometimes it's not as obvious as that. Oftentimes they can be physiological symptoms that the child is experiencing. So they may be reporting increased headaches, increased stomach aches, things that you might raise your eyebrow at and think, oh, well, maybe they're getting sick, right? But a lot of the times that's the body's way of saying that they're feeling nervous about what's coming up or being present there at school. And then other times it can look like increased irritability or even withdrawal. So anytime you notice those things, especially if it seems like it's related to the school environment, it's important to validate the child's concerns first and foremost. If they are physical symptoms, I think ensuring that you talk to the child about how their stomach aches might actually be their body trying to tell them that they're feeling nervous, and see if you can identify maybe what they feel nervous about. What are you afraid might happen when you go to school? Or what's the hardest part about going to school for you? And then problem solve with them when they identify what those things are. One of my number one recommendations, though, is with anxiety in any form or fashion, but especially with school-related anxiety, ensuring that you don't feed the anxiety by helping them avoid the thing they're scared of. So it's very critical with anxiety that they learn to move through those feelings. And so talking with them about coping strategies like deep breathing or more helpful ways of thinking about school are ways that you can help them kind of navigate through the fear. Pulling them out of school because they're complaining of a tummy ache or keeping them home, those are going to be some things that actually escalate anxiety over time and can make it a little bit harder to beat. So be sure that you're validating, but not necessarily rescuing.